All right, let's
like
call
that
this
picture
meeting
up
to
there.
order. Do we have any public comments? Any public comments?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Do we have any public comments? All right.
Just getting ahead of the curve, Joe.
Oh, I thought maybe you was behind.
I could be too.
Christmas in July.
Do we have a motion to acknowledge the minutes?
So move.
Second.
And it is for July
All over the
15th
board.
and July 18th. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, good morning, County Engineer.
Good morning, Supervisors. It is pleasant out today.
Yeah.
I spoke with Jake Reswinnicki from the BNSF Railroad this morning.
Could you repeat that?
No, I can't.
Can you spell
It starts with an R. He's basically the construction road master for this stretch of the railroad. There is a federal grant out for railroad projects, rail crossing elimination projects. He and I have been chatting back and forth about the possibility of Jefferson County applying for a grant. We're kind of spitballing and tossing around ideas of what projects may be likely to get funding. And so we kind of decided that because the railroads are not eligible to get the grants, the local public agency, us, has to apply for one. But the railroad has kind of the resources of the funding or the grant writing consultants. So he's going to visit with some of their consultants and in-house folks to see which type of grants have the highest likelihood of being successful, not just what we would want, but what we might want and might actually have a ghost of a chance of getting money. So the things we're looking at is possibly just starting with a study grant to figure out how to optimize the rail crossings in the county, concentrating on Fairfield East, where we have some of the more what I would call dicey crossings, where they've got the grade separations where you can't get a semi over them, or that are maintenance issues. And then also looking at the Nutmeg crossing, or the underpass, which is, I believe it was built in 1910, and it's not in good condition. So I think the idea of the grant is to look at the underpass and then the crossings east of that and see if there's a way possibly to optimize the crossings from a cost standpoint on how to deal with them.
So, and this is probably I'm not sure that this is a question that you have an answer for in your bag of answers, but specifically on Nutmeg, years ago, when Heartland was considering building there, we talked to the railroad about that underpass, and they said under no circumstances were they going to replace that underpass, that it had another 50 years of life in it. Now, I don't know whether it does or it doesn't. I'm not a railroad or underpass expert, but my point is that we believed it was problematic then. And so if we were to get a grant, what would we want to do with that underpass? Number one. Number two, does it require a match from us?
My thoughts and Jacob's were that they would figure a way to effectively widen it. So right now it's 19 feet. You can get one grain truck through there at a time. The ideal thing would be to get it to 24 feet so you can have two-way traffic and you don't have the bottleneck.
Right.
To do that, they're going to have to do some gymnastics with the rail lines to make it work. But they are open to that if they can get money from somebody else. If you can get a grant for it. The match, I'm not sure on. I haven't looked into the grant that deep, but I think the way, you know, I'm pretty sure the planning grant would be 100% funded. Construction based on the planning grant might be a different story. I will know more after I've had a chance to read the notice of funding.
Thank you for checking this out.
But the downside is you're probably gonna lose a couple of the crossings east of town if it goes through with that. You know, with the idea that you're going to push traffic either to Nutmeg or, you know, right now we've got redwood, pine, spruce, and nutmeg. You know, so if you keep spruce and nutmeg, you probably, and
Quince.
and quince, one of them, redwood's a dead end north of there, so you have to keep that one, but.
You've got 2 or 3 residences that's the only way in
so
and out
you
unless you're
have
gonna
to keep-
gravel one of those.
But we'll know more after the study, but my gut is still gonna find that we can optimize that and require people to drive a little farther. But if we can make all the rail crossings that remain truck and tractor navigable, that's probably a benefit. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
You might want to start doing some traffic studies in the fall and spring.
Yeah. And then a member of Green Iowa AmeriCorps contacted me regarding our Adopt a Highway program, which until that phone call, I wasn't aware we had an Adopt a Highway program. But we have, so I sent her the paperwork and a map of the county so that their organization could look at it and see what they might have an interest in doing. And I asked her to get back to me after they evaluated what our program requires and offers. And I don't know if they were looking at a one-time thing or an ongoing, which is kind of what our program requires, I think, is a 2-year commitment. But we'll find that as it comes.
Does that include repaving? Okay.
No. If garbage bags in the ditch constitutes repaving, then yes.
Okay.
And we're still doing contract rock. We're on Greater District 5, which is North Center Township and some of Buchanan. And then we've still got the Germanville, Pleasant Plain, and Batavia to do. So we're about halfway through the contract rock. And then we're edge running on Glasgow. The last couple of weeks they've been going out. This week they're starting their way back in on the westbound. That's pretty much what we got. Other than that, just doing paperwork classes, trying to wrap up paperwork on projects, which keeps the DOT happy. And we're set for our letting for Libertyville Road Bridge. August 20th? Yeah, August 20th.
All right, thanks. Number 2, discuss and consider Twin Oaks subdivision. Right.
There's the.
Twin Oaks subdivision.
Do you have the determination there?
Right. Twin Oaks subdivision.
Subdivision determination. Oh, Hunter, they are splitting off the farmstead from the farm ground, but it's in an area that, because of the location, has to be a minor subdivision because they've got it. They had enough splits in the past that there's nothing fancy to it. It's just they've got a small acreage that's ag and farm ground, ag and residential, and they're just splitting that ag off from the residential. But it's a small enough parcel that the section's already had its 3 splits that's required, so they're required to do a minor subdivision. If it was a longer than 40, it would just be a split.
I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Another thing, or actually 2 other things before I get up is, we have picked up our belly dump that we ordered. They went and picked that up last week. So we're gonna start shopping for a tractor to pull it. We're gonna try and keep that in the $50,000 range, which is what we have on the budget. And then I'm going to try and be gone most afternoons this week, being grandpa, so.
Thank you.
Take a bunch of bright people with you.
Okay, meet with interim ambulance director. Good morning.
Hey.
Hey.
There you go. Give you this update. All 3 of you. Update. So we had an exciting weekend. My crew was privy to watch the bank right across the yard. Somebody robbed the ATM machine.
I was gonna ask you, do you have cameras?
Yes, yes, and I
And have you
assisted
turned those
PD.
in?
Yep, I sent everything over Saturday. As soon as they called me, I went and got it, put it on a flash drive and sent it over to the PD, and then I helped them get some other stuff off of our Wi-Fi.
How
case they
do
needed
you
it.
rob an ATM?
They backed up a truck and did something, ripped the doors off, and I don't know.
Okay.
It was quite funny to watch it on video, but
Chauncey, can you send me pictures of that so I know how to?
these guys are very, very quick.
You figure it out.
Yeah, they're very quick, let me tell you. So, but anyways, other than that, the auto system in 53 is still needing to be repaired. I don't remember if you remember talking about it last week, but there is a bar to where on the main device has been bent. They have it on order and hopefully it'll be in this week and they will be down to fix that. It can still be used, but it's really pain to lift that lift caught up without the auto system, especially if you have a 600 or 700 pound patient, but hopefully we don't have any of those. 52 system.
Did you say 600 or 700 pound patient?
Yeah, we've had them before. Yeah. There's a few here in town.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. They also did some adjusting on 52 system. It was something about a horseshoe is what they call it. It was on the main device again, where it wasn't, kept turning on, but yet it wouldn't lower the bars and stuff, but they got that all fixed. They will look at 51 when they come down to do 53s, as long as 51's in the shop, because I don't think they've been serviced since we've gotten them back from care. So I just asked Jake or Jack, his name is Jack. Jack's kind of weird for a 21-year-old kid, but he is assisting Lynn with this down here in this area. And I asked him if they could at least look at 51 just to make sure it's up, everything's working good. We haven't had any problems with it, but I said just to make sure we have a service on it and we have it documented. So they're supposed to do that. 52 also went in to have the airbags looked at. I guess there was issues with that a couple weekends ago. We finally got it in. They looked at it. They said everything's good. It had its regular maintenance oil stuff changed as well, and that was on Friday. Did talk to the billing department, talked to Cheyenne on Wednesday. It looks like as of so far, as you guys can see on that front page, as of so far this month, we've already collected 52,000, which this is going to be more than what it was in May, it looks like. which is pretty good. I think Mark withdrew like 28,000 from our account last week, from our bank account. I did have to work with Christy and Darcy on a UEI number. It's a unique entity identifier number, because we're now getting VA payments. And they were actually getting deposited into the treasurer's department.
Interesting.
So Christy found those. There was only a couple of them that she had seen deposits for, but I worked with the billing and we'll get that switched over. So it'll start going into our actual bank account instead of to theirs. As you can see on the back side, that second page, this is just a breakdown of everything that is out there outstanding. Now remember, there's $213,904.99. That is the of the 614,000. That's the time period that we're still working on. That was prior to our approval. Everything has been turned over, so hopefully within the next week we can have an invoice for the hospital. That was all turned over last week to them to finalize, and they'll send me out what the invoice looks like, so we have a copy of it as
Thank
well.
you for this.
Then we've had 107 calls so far this month. We're still working. So got a week and a half to go, but also Cheyenne says she is available next Monday to join us on Zoom if you guys have any questions, and she will be glad to answer them for you. If that's what you guys would like. Okay. Do you have anything specific that you want? If you do, just let me know and I can email her ahead of time so she can get that information.
I do.
Okay.
I'm not, I got trying to be tactful here. Sending an invoice to the hospital, okay?
The back charges?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Right. If they disagree with that, I want to know where we go from there, and if it turns out that, I guess where I'm going to cut to the chase. What I want to know is that I don't want a long protracted dispute with the billing company. I don't want a dispute with the hospital. I just want the money that we're owed.
Yeah.
And I want somebody to pony it up.
Now, from what I understand, talking to Cheyenne and looking at the contract, it states that the hospital will go back to October 1st. So
Now, I understand that. Where I'm concerned, to be perfectly honest with you, is whether or not the hospital agrees with the billing company's legal in defining what the contract says they will pay for.
okay, and then we won't know that until
Right,
yeah.
That's where I'm at on that.
And we probably won't know that until we get that invoice sent to
Right.
them, but those are questions you can ask Cheyenne.
Yeah.
She may be able to tell you more on that. She is still working with them on that, hopefully, like I said, by the end of this week.
So is she working directly with the hospital?
No, she's working with their legal team.
Right.
She put all the calls together, sends it to the legal team, make sure it matches the contract, and then it goes to another team that's putting the whole invoice together.
Can we send a copy of that to Chauncey and Elizabeth so that they can see?
For the invoice once we get it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will make sure.
What do you want us to do, Melly?
Well, my question is, I wasn't obviously, and I'm not finding fault here, wasn't involved in the negotiation with the hospital regarding the contract. The way I see this, the billing company screwed up.
Yes.
Okay, and so the reason we're not getting the Medicare is because they didn't file the paperwork in a timely fashion. Going back on the hospital, if the hospital legitimately owes us for services that were rendered, okay. But if the hospital's saying, wait a minute, legal found a loophole and they're trying to bill us for what the contract doesn't cover, I want somebody to pick up those Medicare dollars, because it wasn't our management that dropped the ball.
Basically, if the hospital's not paying for it, then you should pick it up with the bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I did talk to Cheyenne about that, and she's looking into seeing what the billing company is willing to do on that amount. She's not given me a figure yet because she doesn't want to give me anything and then have it be wrong. So,
Right.
But she's talking to her upper management about it. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have. Nothing else really exciting going on.
Yeah, what happens when there's a power outage with the doors opening? I guess it went out the other night.
Yes, it went out the other night.
And the Energizer bunny kicks in.
No, they had actually thought ahead and they left the doors open to the back side of it. So it was on the opposite side of the way the wind was blowing. And they backed the rigs up a little closer to the garage door so stuff wasn't flying all over the place out there. So they were already open prior to us getting a power outage. What happens as of right now, if there's a power outage, we have to take and just pull levers on the garage doors and we can manually open them. Mind you, they're very heavy, but
Right.
people are able to do it. I did get a hold of Ben Godwin and he gave us a generator that we could use for a little bit. It did not do the rigs and the garage doors, but it at least got a computer up and going and they could use the Wi-Fi so we could continue to at least receive calls with our pagers and stuff, because if we didn't have it, we wouldn't be able to run pagers and radios. Because our main radio that we go through for the law center right now has to be on at all times. And when the power outage went out, it wasn't working. So
I know we have grant writer extraordinaires at Pathfinders. We need to see if we can't get a generator.
Figure out what size we need.
Yeah.
And I'll
yeah,
ask
and
them.
that was
maybe-
something that I know Brian, prior to me stepping into this, had talked about, and I know he was working on it. I've seen some information on it, but I don't know how far he got on.
Another thing we might be able to do, obviously, I don't want to have to wait another year, but we may be through most of the storm season. Give me a second here to gather my thoughts. We have an idea of what size we need, and maybe Brett Farrell can help us on that. What size we need and what the cost would be. There's a possibility that we could write a grant for
Right.
Yeah, and I know that's possible to do a grant, because I think that's what Brian was going to try to get one, and I don't know what size or anything, but I can get with Brett and see.
And next week I've got the gentleman from Alliant Energy on the agenda to talk to us about the damage here, but we could ask him if he knows, if, sometimes those companies have grants.
Right.
And that might be something they would be willing to, a worthwhile project.
Judy, it's not a long-term fix, but your radio could go out if you power. We've got battery backup.
The one we have that uses us through, that one does.
Okay.
That's why it has to be plugged in constantly. And then the other one, the handhelds, they don't. But that's the main one that they dispatch us through, which hopefully our main one should be coming soon. The big one that's supposed to be the base.
If Brett ordered that.
Yeah, it's already on order. It's just been taking a while more order. It's behind on a bunch of stuff, but it should be coming hopefully in the next month, I think, or less. I'm getting a phone call from her.
This is Brett.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Hey, Brad.
Hey, that radio for the ambulance is in, should be programmed the next couple weeks.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
I did not know that. They must have said Brett. Oh, yes, that's right. The 30th, they're coming down to program. That guy called me over the weekend. Yes, they're coming on the 30th to program them. Did you hear that, Brett? Probably not.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I remember that now. So yeah, I was scurrying around getting candles and batteries and all kinds of things for crews, making sure they had water, and then there, of course, there was a power line that was down on one of the employees' vehicles. Thank God it didn't do anything to his truck, but it was one of those really high ones, the ones that IT or something takes care of, not Alliant Energy. I don't know. But I don't know anything about power, but yeah, Ben Godwin brought his generator in and we were able to use it until power came up about 3 o'clock, I think they said, is when they noticed it came back on, which was good.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Just real quickly.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the locks.
Everything is in place, including the key cards, have all got people's names attached to them. We sent the spreadsheet to Jerry. All he's got to do is get a program. That's it. We're just waiting for him to get a program.
Jerry.
Jerry's the lock doctor.
The lock doctor.
I've been working with Mike's simple letter thing. I need this done now. He sent a pleading letter. Can I get it until the end of July? So he promised at the end of July.
We promised us July 15th.
He promised July 15th, and it's April, and we're not.
Yes. So on my end, it's all done. We're just waiting for him to program the swipe cards and key fobs that we have for it. All I am.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, number 3, discuss and consider liquor license for Sassy Lemonade slushies.
Seriously?
Yep,
Oh,
and this is for Friday.
oh, surely not.
I don't know why they pick Friday.
Yeah. We want to get them out of that. Have them laying all over the place. Don't smile at me.
Do we have a motion to approve this?
Is law enforcement online?
I don't think they are today. Whoops.
You said you briefly looked into
Oh,
it.
sheriff's office is on.
I'm sorry, what?
You briefly looked into it and didn't see an issue with it.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, discuss and approve Jefferson County Safety Manual. So is this the final version?
Yes, it is. There were some formatting issues that been pointed out to me that we fixed together. Font corrections.
All right.
Were there any questions regarding hepatitis, or was that those vaccines that was answered? Okay, great.
Yeah, no, just thank you to the safety committee. This has been a long time coming. We know that. And we have a department head meeting Wednesday, so I thought we could talk about this and answer any questions. I hope there'll be some safety committee people there
Oh, for sure.
and how we're gonna do all this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and consider wind ordinance.
You should have the final version in front of you. I sent it to Abby at 11th hour on Friday, but it incorporates everything that we've discussed. One thing that I talked to the Mahaska County attorney about that they did before approving their wind ordinance, that I just wanted to bring to your attention, was they had a GIS mapping of their county and where wind turbines could feasibly, given the proposed ordinance, exist within the county. Now, I don't know if that's possible because we have changed the definition of occupied structures to include outbuildings that house animals, and I doubt that we would have that data, but I just wanted to mention that. It was something that their board of supervisors also undertook.
I imagine that would be a rather expensive venture.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I don't know, but
I guess it would depend on if we had anybody in the county who could potentially do that kind of GIS.
yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess Steve Webber would know, but whether we have somebody that does that, I suppose. I don't know.
so I got a process question. Don't we need to set the date and time for the public hearing before we approve it? Because it's just so we can discuss it.
Yes, you do. Yeah,
And,
so that's why there are 2 agenda items.
right.
So talk to us, Abby.
Friday's too soon, right, Abby?
Yeah, I would say August 5th.
You would?
Yeah, or after.
Okay. I would make them. Excuse me. I would make a motion to set August 5th at 9 AM for public hearing on wind ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty. Anything else you wanna discuss on this? All right.
No, I
Could I
appreciate
get a
it.
copy of it from?
Oh, sure. You can have.
Great, thank you. Appreciate everything that Elizabeth has done and the
Mhm.
back and forth and stuff. And,
Thank you.
and we'll go from there. So,
What did you guys decide on for setbacks for that?
I'm sorry, what?
Setbacks?
There's a table in there, so it depends on what the. We got setback from where, so I think occupied buildings, but we do 3 times the height,
2,600 and
2,640 feet.
or 3 times the height, whichever is greater.
2,600 feet?
2,640 or 3 times the height, whichever is greater.
It's gonna make it very difficult to build.
I'm sure.
Would you guys, before you guys proceed with this, would you like to see the land where we have the land? We could sit down and have the kind of a one-on-one Zoom meeting with you guys if you guys would like to see it.
I'm not opposed as far as looking at it, but I'm going based on all of the feedback that we've gotten. And, excuse me.
Is this the appropriate time to discuss this? Can I ask you a question?
Sure, it's on the agenda.
Is the, what is the purpose of the 2,600? Like, what, I mean, as far as safety or what's the justification besides? I mean, is it just that they don't, is it that they feel like that's acceptable for not wanting to see them, or what's the?
They further away from their property, if you will, for those that don't want it or don't want it on their land or don't want to cross them on land. The further away, the better. So 2,640 feet was in conjunction with, to be perfectly honest with you, setbacks that are required on hog confinements. There's other I would say restrictions, but there's other requirements in there regarding shadow flicker, regarding noise. Those things that are in there as well. And again, I will reiterate, we've had meetings we met up at the high school gym and.
We were there for that one.
That's right. We've had meetings, we've had feedback. And none of it has been positive. We haven't heard from anybody, not saying that there isn't somebody that obviously you're talking about the land that you're considering. Or maybe have agreements with, I don't know. But again, we've heard absolutely nothing from anybody in terms of being in favor of these. By the same token, we've had lots of discussions and established this ordinance on the basis that, at least, I'm speaking for myself, I want to be careful here, I'm speaking for myself, at least based on the fact that property owner rights are very important to me on both sides of the equation. I asked a question a long time ago, and I personally don't believe that I got a satisfactory answer in terms of you put one on Susie's property, you put one on Dee's property, but you got to cross Joe's property and Joe doesn't want you.
Oh, I can give you an answer on that.
Well, I'm just saying, but you didn't.
Oh, yeah, that we can't, it's entirely voluntary. So,
Right.
so if we can't go through anyone's property without some agreement made.
No, I get that, but the question was, and I also indicated that I didn't want them in my right of way, in my county right of way, the lines and stuff. We have concerns about ongoing road maintenance, which I realized, it's. I'm not suggesting that you wouldn't have agreements and you wouldn't put the roads back and so on and so forth, but I've been around the block enough times to know that once you tear something up, it takes a long time for it to ever get back to where it was. And anyway, irregardless, we didn't want to shut it down per se, but I didn't want to shut it down per se, but I wanted to make it.
This setback's in line with Mahaska County, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what they did, is shut it down in Mahaska County. That was the purpose of the setback.
How many acres do you have? in
You have to
different-
look, we
Jefferson.
probably don't have as much here as we did in Wapello and Keokuk. But we do have some landowners that I think deserve to be taken into consideration for, wanting to participate. For them, it could be a big deal, if they get a disturbance on their land. That's, so I'm not sure what, some of them are farmers, it provides stability to their, farming can be hit and miss every year. So but they would get that payment every year. So I think it's, for them, I think that could be a big deal.
Maybe encourage them to reach out to us or come to the public hearing.
I could, we'll definitely do that. It is, generally it is harder to get people out that are in favor of something rather than opposed. That's just how those sorts of things work.
I guess I would say, if I'm looking at a significant amount of income, I'm gonna wanna make my opinions heard.
Mhm.
Because if I'm losing out on a financial windfall, pardon that pun, that was bad. I'm sorry, but if I'm missing,
works.
if I'm missing out on a financial opportunity. And this has been going on for quite some time, actually. Even a phone call. I've not received any, but I've received plenty of phone calls on the other side of the equation. And I'm cognizant of those concerns that people have. Whether they're founded or not, that's a discussion for another day. But my point simply is that we developed this ordinance. We're not saying, no, you can't. But these are the requirements that we put in place. So we're not saying that the property owner can't have them. The question is whether or not you can make it work under these guidelines. There is a public hearing. We're not required to pass it after the first reading. We'll go up to 3 readings. So the opportunity for discussion is still there.
Absolutely. No, we can address, you brought up several concerns there that you had. I mean, all those can be addressed, the right of way issue, the roads issue. Especially the roads issue, we're committed to return the roads to at least as good as they were, if not better, can be found. And of course, construction will, it won't be, it'll be a process for sure. But, I think that is something that we've been always very committed to at all our projects.
Can I ask, why is it harder to get somebody to speak in favor of it than opposed to it, do you think?
I think it's just that way with most things. And especially, we're in this area where it is a little controversial, I think maybe not wanting to be public facing.
Just want to make sure there's not like a fear of retribution, do you think?
I don't know how, worked up some people are about it, maybe. I think in other projects, I've seen that happen for sure. I don't know if that's the case here. I know there are some people that
They
are.
can certainly call us each individually if they want
Yeah,
to.
or emails or letters,
Yeah.
And we don't, like I said, we don't have as much land as we do in Wapello and I think there's some land on the border that especially on the border that I think would be nice to have in part of the project. And it's probably more as you approach Wapello County is where a lot of our land is. Just nice to allow those folks to continue with the project. But I would find it's going to be very difficult. We'll try to work with it if we can, but it's going to be very difficult with the 2,600. I know as soon as I show that to developers, that's what they're going to say. So, but I would, if you guys have any questions, like I'd love to sit down with you guys, schedule a Zoom meeting, show you the land, show you where we're at. And if you guys, decide to move forward with the 2,600, at least, we went through everything.
No, I don't have any problem in that regard. There's no reason not to. That's part of the purpose of the public hearing and everything else.
So maybe before August 5th, I'll try to schedule something with you guys where we can just kind of sit down and it'll be probably a Zoom. And then we can just show you guys kind of where we have the land. It's the reason I want to do it that way is because it is not public information, you know, I don't really wanna. It's agreement between us and the landowners.
Sure.
So we wanna keep that as private as possible.
Well, anything we do like that will be on public though, because there's no reason we can close that.
No, if we do it one-on-one,
Oh, one-on-one, yeah.
that would be the way we would have to do it.
Okay.
Um. I don't know about that. It's a little, I understand the desire of the confidentiality. I perfectly understand that, but I also, I think that people who are next to the land of people who are on the land, so to speak,
Want to know what's going
have a
on.
right to know that as well. And if that's, you know, if that's an issue,
I don't, do they have the right to know that their neighbors are signed up? I mean, I don't think that's the case.
I don't know the answer to that either, as far as that part of it goes, but I just,
They can go talk to their neighbors and ask them.
it's, I don't know, to me, it's a little problematic to be doing it individually behind closed doors.
Yeah, I thought you meant a meeting with all three of us.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be able to show you the line. I can get I can probably get a developer in here to talk to you guys about some of those. We could either do that before or during the public hearing. I just, the map is proprietary information.
Okay, got it.
Just like the same way with our lease. I can get you portions of our lease, but I
Right.
can't give you the entire lease. There's information in there, you know, we are a private business.
Sure, no, and I understand that, I really do, despite what it might appear, but, and I personally, for me, I guess what I would say is that where you're locating them, or may not be locating them, is less of a concern to me than the setbacks and the other things that are involved in those that, because you know, and I've adopted the philosophy myself personally, that it is about property rights, and so the individual that wants them has the right, but the individual that doesn't want them has a right as well, and trying to balance that. So I think what I was looking at was, we're not saying that you can't go ahead. I'm not saying you can't go ahead. What I'm saying is that those that don't want them, they need to be taken into consideration as well. And so it's a situation where I would think in this world of fast advancing technology that something might be able to be worked out, but this is where I'm at.
The problem with it is it's 2,600 feet in every direction. And that just, it's hard in even a more rural area than this. Even if we were in like Taylor County, where there's 6,000 people in the county, it would make building it even in Taylor County difficult. And you know, this county is more congested than Taylor County for sure. So we can look at it and see, and kind of give you guys some feedback. We can kind of draw out the maps and see if how buildable it is. But 2,600 is going to be, you know, our standard, the industry standard is 1,250 per setback. So that's more than double.
The industry standard is established because, in part, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but the industry standard is established in part because it's more financially prudent. I would assume that the further apart you are, the less that you can put. And so consequently, I'm not sure what the technical terms are, but if you don't have as many, you don't generate as much. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, we also would just, I mean, you know, this is like a puzzle game. We're like we have to connect everything together.
Right.
We have our own setbacks from wetlands and we do environmental studies. So there's all kinds of layers that we're tossing on top of. I mean, maybe 12, what you guys were saying wouldn't be as much of a problem if we didn't have all those other things after we do the environmentals. It can take out a lot of land and then make it even more problematic to try to connect them. I don't know that there's so much, the distance is so much based upon the efficiency of that rather than just making sure they're all connected. But I would imagine that's part of it. So, yeah.
Well, like I said, we've got August 5th set for the first hearing. We'll have up to 3. And notice will be sent out that on those public hearings. And if I understand not providing.
I guess I would ask
Property
one thing
owners.
too. We know that there is some opposition in that corner of the county. How does the rest of the county feel about it? Is it, I mean, because this is gonna apply for the entire county as well.
Well,
So
that's a fair question. And the thing is that we have heard from people who were not involved in the project in any way, shape, or form as far as where it's going, or I have. Conversations quite often at Hy-Vee gas station in the morning, and they're not excited about it, even though they're not impacted by it directly. And I know this section of the county down here, or maybe technology's changed, but I know 10 years ago, this section of the county down here was not really conducive for it, the wind patterns and whatnot.
and the technology's changed. I think more of the county would be now.
Okay.
I've had a couple of people that live in town. They're for it, but they live in town. I mean, they're on it.
Well, and if you go back and, you brought up Mahaska County, and I think that's a valid statement. But here's a county that did it once. And the overwhelming opinion, apparently, the second time around is no, we don't want it anymore. And that's why they developed an ordinance the way that they developed the ordinance. And so, in talking to supervisors up there, and I have talked to supervisors up there, I've talked to supervisors in Keokuk County. And there doesn't seem to be an overwhelming thumbs up for the project in general.
I think say so in Keokuk County. We have a lot of support there.
Yeah. Okay. I won't go down that road. But, if the landowners, and that's fine, but what we're hearing here is, and again, we're not saying you can't do it. We're just saying these are the guidelines that at least at this moment in time, we're establishing through the public hearing process, and we'll see what the public hearing brings. Not afraid of a public hearing, not afraid to change my mind.
I will also just point out too, that one consideration is even though Apex obviously has their own internal standards that they're working with and, really trying to maintain the integrity of, the county roads, et cetera, but this ordinance is gonna apply to all companies who maybe come into the county who may not have the standards that you guys have. So, that's another consideration, or if further on down the line, the permit is assigned to somebody else and making sure that they're abiding by these.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing that we're concerned about in the ordinance is the, I guess I haven't seen the shadow flicker or some of that might be a concern, but the main concern for us is the setbacks. That either makes or breaks a project in a county.
And another thing, this was brought up an excellent point there that I failed to point out. In that context of that conversation, or statement that she just made, is in the future, which we don't necessarily know what the future is. And I know that, and I've said this many times, just strictly based on my age, I'm not probably going to be around 20 years from now. Okay, I'm just, it'd be surprising, I guess. But that being said, we got to look as far down the road as we can to see, not knowing how technology is going to change, what's going to happen. But by the same token, Apex may turn around and say, hey, Elizabeth, you want to buy our, and so we sell it to a different entity, which is within your rights to do so, but that entity doesn't have the same corporate mindset that you do. But we can't say, no, you can't sell it, but we've got to put some restrictions in there to govern that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think any of us at Apex have any problem with that, as far as selling the project goes, anyone who buy the project would be liable to the lease that we're signing with the landowners too. But putting
Right.
protections in place, that's absolutely, like I said, just the setbacks might. They're definitely gonna cause problems, and I just wanna, say that, and as far as anything else, because I haven't gone through it, and I'll show it to our developers too, but, I think that's our main concern at the moment.
And they're more than welcome to participate in the public hearing.
Would you guys rather hear from them before or during?
I don't care when we hear from them, as long as it's in a public context.
You guys, do you think you'll go through one or just one hearing or?
At this point, I'm looking at it in that we're having the first public hearing. And then we'll go from there.
I doubt if this is a topic, we would only do one on
So at least two, probably.
the lease. I mean, that's just my opinion.
And I mean, there's no reason. I agree, that's why I say it's just the first public hearing.
I've got a question for you. I had an ISAC's legislative meeting last week. And I heard that there might be some talk at the Capitol about possibly having a statewide decommissioning standards, law, whatever.
Yeah, I think
What do you know
the last session they were looking at least basically setting some maximum, like setting maximum setbacks. So you couldn't go any further than, I don't know, I don't remember what it was, 1,500 or something like that. So that, that was what they were looking at doing. I don't know if it'll happen this year or not. It made it out of subcommittee last time. I don't think it's a super high priority at the Iowa legislature, but it's building because we are seeing it's becoming harder and harder to build these projects. We're seeing, these setbacks get pushed, and like I said, like in Mahaska County, I think that was a good example of one that just decided that, there was a lot of momentum behind the anti-wind groups. They're, like I said, it's usually opposition that becomes most vocal, and these elections oftentimes are very low turnout. So you get, a small motivated group of folks, and they can, get their supervisors in, and then they decide to push it back to 2,600 feet, no longer buildable. And so I think the state's looking at doing something just to set some guidelines, say, hey, here's the maximum you can do with the setback, or the maximum you can do with shadow flicker, that kind of thing.
So I would follow up on that just real quickly. I don't have a lot of faith in the legislature and some of the recent decisions they've made in the Iowa Utilities Board and the eminent domain issue with, I think it was Summit Carbon Capture Pipeline. So I will tell you that I'm a huge anti-eminent domain person. I do not believe under any set of circumstances that a private entity should be allowed to take a piece of private property for profit. I'm not naive, but that's just the way that I see things. And I know that there's times that public entities, utilities and stuff have to do that. I don't consider this that. I don't consider the carbon capture pipeline that. I believe that the Iowa Utilities Board is wrong. And so.
Oh, this would never fall under.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that things that the legislature and their representatives do, I'm not necessarily, I will do what I can to try and counter that, just so you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll go with however the rules are, we're just here to get these projects done.
All right,
So.
thank you. I think we've.
Did you guys, would it be more beneficial to hear from us before? Do you guys think maybe could I set up a meeting before just to chat with you guys? Kind of like we did one time with Jared Beckstrom.
Yeah, we had a work session.
Could we do something like that maybe? Would that be beneficial, you think?
As long as it's on the agenda and specifically states what that work session is and that it's on Zoom.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, discuss and consider adding to donor wall in lobby. What do we know?
Would you like to sit down?
No.
this is hard for me because I've just started to process David Riddle's death. I miss his wife, but he was, I want this town to know he was a huge donor. Like 549 recipients received something from his body. And a 67-year-old lady, she got his corneas. And so I just wanted to present his, this is the picture from, because we don't hear, a lot of people don't hear from the donors. So the Iowa Donors Association here in Iowa, they always put on something. And I would like to use this picture of him. And I would like to know, I'd like for his friends in this town to know what a huge donor he was. They said he was one of their biggest ones. That's a lot. 546 people were. It just, I can't hardly take it in. So I saw your donor out thing, so I talked to her. I didn't even know who to contact, but I am going to be moving to Trinidad, Colorado permanently. And so I wanted to, I just wanted to do this. I was so glad to see.
So I don't, we have something out here? I
Out
apologize.
here.
I'm
I
not
think,
aware.
Right out here in
By the
your
treasure.
hallway.
Mark's.
And
Mark,
I
Yes.
didn't, I talked with her because I said I didn't know who, and so she put me in on your meeting.
Have you talked with the newspaper about this? This might be something
I've just,
they might be interested in.
I've just been able to start. I wrote the book that you don't do this. Because you have to go through the grief process, and I have just been able to start processing his passing into the light and my own son's 3 years ago, his passing into the light. So no, I came to you guys because I forget who it was. There was somebody that was supposed to be in charge of this that wanted to promote people if they were aware of this magnitude of people they can help with donation. It might be over there in that other office, but me and her, she said, I'm gonna put you in on this meeting.
I think that's probably the treasurer.
I don't know. I didn't know we even had one. I apologize for that. I mean, I know we've got the bulletin boards down in the, where you come in on both the north and south side.
But you know, there's a big, right, it's right out here.
Okay,
It's huge picture encouraging people. So
I think, yeah, when they
is that,
get their driver's license, you know, that they can check the box, and I think that's what
should
that's
I go over
for.
there? We didn't,
Yeah, it seems like it would go. over
well,
with
I was
that.
directed to you guys' office.
Right.
And so,
Give us a couple minutes here. He's gonna go look at it. And
I just
No,
want to get it done because I am moving permanently. And
so what specifically are you wanting
well,
on that?
out there in the hallway is this huge, they said they were trying to make people aware, so I wanted this town especially to be aware of what, because David Randall was significant for this.
so what that is, you can, I guess, put it on your driver's license
correct.
that you're an organ donor. So that's what that is.
Mhm.
Is kind of an advertisement for that. So this would be separate of that, in my estimation. It's really not what I would call a donor wall. And, you know, we have, I get what she's saying. I think that, using the bulletin boards in each of the entrances would be probably a best case scenario.
Yeah,
And I don't, there isn't any way to hang anything on that.
well, and we don't have the space, because if we do that for one, then we need to do
Right.
that for others, and I don't know.
I'm just, because that's the second picture I've seen out there, so I'm just wanting Fairfield to know what David Granville did. It's,
And I understand that, but again, treasurer is an elected official. And the donor thing is something I believe that was set up by the Iowa DOT to place on driver's licenses so people can note on the driver's license that they are an organ donor. And it's not sort of before, it's not set up, or it's not designed to have all these folks' pictures on there
No,
that are
that's not what
fantastic
I-
organ donors.
that's
but-
not what I'm wanting. I
Right.
just wanted to be a part of making people aware of what can happen even after you pass.
Well, again,
So we didn't know, she didn't know where to put me, so she put me
Yeah.
here with you.
I get that.
Can I give you Andy Holman's phone number? He's at the Southeast Iowa
I was just
Union.
thinking that's a very good idea.
And you call him, I think this would, he'd be very interested in this.
You gotta.
That would be the way to let everybody. read
Yes,
about
I
this.
know, he's got a lot of friends in this town that,
Mhm.
Well, he would certainly do a story. There was a time where we could have got you on the spotlight show on the radio station.
Right? But we don't.
That's
agree.
gone.
I doubt if I could have done it. This is almost over the top for me here this morning.
I think Andy would be very
Lee, do you
interested.
think there's any way she should connect with the hospital maybe to have some information for that? Just an information thing.
I don't know if. Yeah, I mean,
In the newspaper, I'm ready to do it because I'm processing. Finally. Okay.
somebody just, I think they would. I mean, I think that. Again, that's an arrangement that the DOT's made with county treasurer's offices. And as an elected official, he has certain legal requirements and jurisdiction over that that's outside our. purview.
Well, I'll go over there and talk to them too.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to do, did we?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, discuss and consider tall cop contract. If you remember when we had the opioid,
Yeah, Suzie put this on here because of being
Meeting.
tall.
no, I did.
I had the chance to.
Connie
run-
called me and she got this and she wondered if it should go through the county because that's where all the funds go through. And I said, yes. And so you've had a chance.
I had a chance to look through it. I don't see any issues legally with it. I do note though that it is a contract between this individual, Chad, or the corporation, Chad Professional Training, and the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. So it is not, I know there's numerous government and non-governmental entities that are deciding on how to expend these opioid settlement funds.
They were a group that were giving suggestions as far as I'm
Suggestions.
concerned, the
Right.
three of us are the deciders.
But from a legal perspective, I mean, it's basically just a contract for the individual to come here. The total fee is $12,300 for what looks like 2 days of training. And the principal obligation from us is to pay a deposit of $1,230 by August 26th, and then the remainder after completion of the speeches.
And we're a year out.
Right, this is the guy that they have to book way ahead of time. He's the one that went to Van Buren County that they talked about.
Does that fit within the requirements
It's
of
not
the?
opioid.
Yes,
Yes,
it does.
Okay.
and this is opioid money. This is not
No,
out of
I
the
get
budget
that.
money.
So you're looking for a motion to approve, is that what you're looking for?
Right. And the dates would be for Tall Cop, Monday, April 28th, 2025. Tuesday, the 29th.
Is that supposed to be hide? In plain sight, not high?
Meaning,
No, it is high in plain sight. So what he does
Okay,
is when he lands at the airport, he literally scans it. He'll go to convenience stores in town and throughout the county, and he'll say, all these things can be used to get somebody high and educate people.
oh, okay.
That's what it's
Or I
about.
hope
I'm
not
using
to
my words.
educate
That's,
them on
I
how to
have,
get
I didn't
high.
see the presentation, but I know several of public health saw it
And this will be done where?
in Fairfield.
No, I mean, like the civic center.
Venue.
Yeah, I think it'll probably either be, I don't think that's been determined, probably either across the street or at the school or something.
So, not to throw a wrench into this, but do we need to have that established before we agree to the contract?
you mean, are you saying we need to make sure we have the facilities that will handle this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I think I agree with that.
I mean, I can make the motion contingent upon that.
Okay,
I mean, I don't have any
I
problem.
can
with
call
it.
Connie and ask her if we've got that, but she
Okay.
wasn't gonna be able to be here today.
Okay,
Um,
so now I'll make the
make it
motion.
contingent upon.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the contract for J Chad Professional Training for a tall cop program for the sum of $12,300 in April of 2025, contingent upon a venue
Availability,
availability. Thank you.
anytime.
Okay.
From a, I mean, I just don't wanna jam anything up. I don't know if we wanna sign the contract and get it back to them with a contingency.
Okay.
So maybe it would be a better practice to just confirm we have an available space and then consider whether to sign the contract as opposed to approve it now, right?
I mean, well, I guess the only consideration is we don't really know how many people are gonna be wanting to attend.
Mhm.
So it's hard to kind of lock down the space, you know, if they're, you know, so
You know, I get that, but I'm sitting here thinking the dates at the end of February, or excuse me, at the end of April next year, that's pretty close to prom.
Hmm.
You know, you have to look at what's going on in the community
Right.
during those times, and even know if you could.
Do we know, I guess the other question I would have is, do we know what kind of venue we would need? So in other words, maybe
The
the
Sondheim,
new facility, well, the new facility out at the ag grounds. Or the courtroom, or in other words.
I don't think the courtroom will be big enough.
Okay.
Based on the discussion
Based
here.
on 25 people.
What's that?
I thought this was based off of 25 people.
Okay,
in that
that-
case, the
no, that
Cambridge
was for the
building's figured to be good.
webinars.
That's for the webinars in
Yeah.
August.
This is targeted, I believe, at school students though, so.
That is correct.
No, it's mainly for like parents, and he's gonna do one for teachers too, or administration at the school who's interested in that, and public health and nurses, so they can get continuing education, correct?
You want me to see if Connie will.
That's
answer if I
good,
call
but
her?
that's all
And ask
good.
her, "Look, give me a
But when are we
second."
gonna deal with the kids? We should be talking to kids.
Well, we do wanna talk to the children. I think that one of the concerns that we have, and kids can attend this, but one of the concerns we have about getting in the school is that any curriculum we propose would have to be approved by the school board, so we're still doing research about what would be an evidence-based program that we could present to the school board to have them implement in the schools.
Hey Connie, we're live at our meeting and we're talking about this contract. Can I put you on speaker?
Yeah.
All right. So we have a question about, we're open to signing up, but we want to know if the space is available. what venue has been reserved or would be reserved? Because we don't want to say we're gonna have this program and then not have a place to hold it.
Well, we have the convention center. Mike has secured that.
For these dates,
Yeah,
for Tall Cop.
yeah. I mean, we're planning, you know, the one to be at the school, but I don't think Mike has secured that one yet. But I can double check too. And if the school doesn't approve, then we're going to the convention center.
Okay, so you're pretty sure that those are open at those times then?
Yeah.
Connie, this is Susie. Do you know when
Yeah.
prom is next year?
Ooh, no, I do not.
It's usually at the end of April, and so that's why I was wondering if there wouldn't be a conflict.
Yeah, but
It would certainly be on the weekend though, right?
Mhm.
Prom? Yeah,
Yeah, and this is Tuesday,
okay,
Monday and Tuesday.
yeah,
okay.
I think it's Tuesday and Thursday, isn't it?
Well, this says Monday,
Monday
April
and Tuesday.
28th and Tuesday, April 29th.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's correct. Okay, I'm getting two different things mixed up in my brain here.
Right, we don't have anything on the webinar in front of us. We just have the Tall Cop contract.
Yeah, the webinar, apparently that's not included in that contract.
Okay,
That's just a straight, whatever it was, 39 per person or whatever, I can't remember.
okay.
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing is the space is available for this. Does that answer your
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah,
and like I say, if you want me to call Mike real quick and double check, I can.
no, that's fine. I just want to make sure if we didn't have a venue, we were going to approach it slightly differently, but that's fine.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Connie. Anything else for
Okay.
Connie? All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. All right, question answered.
So we charging for this? I just heard her say $39.
No, that's separate.
Okay,
They're doing some webinars in August.
okay.
Of this year?
Yeah, this year. We talked about that at the opioid meeting.
I know, I just wanted everybody to hear it.
And,
Okay, so I'll
Get the
I'll
dates.
just restate my motion.
okay,
Okay. This motion to approve the presenter agreement with J-Chad Professional Training for Tall Cop program in April of 2025 for a cost of $12,300. Authorize the chair to sign.
okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can you send Connie your copy when it gets completed, please? Or,
Oh, excuse me.
all right. Okay. Moving on, make committee reports.
So we had 1015 transit this last week. We moved it up a week because Right, since they're staying overnight at Tumble. The 25th was not an option. So the biggest conversation piece was still veterans transportation. I got to touch base with Ray. I was supposedly going to hear from somebody from further up the food chain on the VA. Have not as of yet. We've got another gentleman that was going to Des Moines that was specifically going to speak up there. I did receive information from Senator Amy Sinclair. We can become a VA provider, similar to being a Medicaid or Medicare provider. There's some hoops we have to jump through there. We are just a couple of things that have to be done on the 501c3 that Region 17 is working on. So that should be implemented. We've already received some donations, so we're moving forward. It's all positive, and everything is pointing to continuing the program. I think once we get to the VA, I think they'll recognize, you know, the benefits to this. It's just so much easier on our veterans to be able to do this and not have to coordinate so much, you know, having to have 14 veterans go on, you know, their trips all at the same time, whatnot. So you're aware of what I'm talking about. So that was the big thing. We had no accidents. Then obviously 1015 Transit is gearing up for Ragbri, although I will tell you that City of Ottumwa has not had their thinking cap on. And they shut down. How many people are familiar? But we took over the fixed route service in Ottumwa a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And they took away our bus stop right shortly after that. And so they gave us a parking lot there. How familiar you are with Ottumwa, but there's an area where you cross the bridge on that street that runs on the west side of their civic center. There's a parking lot on this side of the railroad tracks on this side of the river. Would be on the north side of the river. That's where we've been parking our buses so that people could exchange or, you know, get off one bus to get on the other to go to different. Well, now they've taken that away for Ragbri. So we don't have any place for our passengers to change buses. And we talked to the city and talked to the mayor and really have gotten nowhere. And so if you can imagine me doing this, I said, then fine, we'll just tell the city of Ottumwa that we won't be available for Ragbri. If they're not going to help facilitate this, then I guess they'll have to find some way else to transport 26,000 people around to their different venues. So we told Jay, you get on the phone and you tell the city of Ottumwa that the board has said, if you don't want us, we won't be there. So we'll see what happens.
It's getting pretty close right now.
Yeah, you know, all we're asking for is a place to stop so people can change buses.
Yep.
And they took away both of them. In fact, we also suggested they call the DOT. Because Ragbri notwithstanding, our people, our riders have a right to be able to get off of one bus and get on the other to get to where it is that they're going on those fixed routes. And since the city of Ottumwa receives DOT funding on those bus stops, if you will.
Right.
So the DOT they are still the controlling entity. So we'll see what happens. I guess we'll know sooner than later, one way or the other.
Right.
Wow.
Do you have any meetings?
Yeah, I had a Semco meeting last Thursday. It was it was a very nice meeting. It was more personal. The one lady, Melly, is the new mayor of Washington, so there's a lot to talk about. Mike Hadley was there.
Said he looked good.
Yeah, he did.
Good.
Of course, Stan Stoops was there, and Judy Hammond, my Stan Stoops, he's a supervisor. A lot to do with succession plans, like what Mr. Wynn is going to do and what he wants to happen when he maybe no longer is here. So we met the young man, Bo Heckert, that might be taking that will be taking that over. So in other words, it continues, the same service will continue. And that was very nice, you know. It was more of a meeting of getting to know each other very personally.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. You know. On the other hand, and I know this is not a county board, but I am on extension council. And we had to go through the process of hiring another CYC individual. And we worked through that. When you deal with Iowa State University, and I used to work there, there's a lot of little hoops to jump through.
I bet.
Even a manual that shows you where to put the commas, you know.
Yeah.
All right. I had a three-legged ambulance board meeting.
Oh, good for you.
And I left a copy of the budget for each of you, so.
Yeah.
It's there, at a ISAC's legislative committee meeting. And one thing I learned was the EMS levy, one of the supervisors from Shelby County put in to have them, have the legislature change it. What happened in Shelby County was the money that the county had the voters vote on for the levy, then goes out to the TIF districts too. So evidently there's a loophole in the law. So I talked with Scott the other day briefly, and he wasn't aware of that, but I hope maybe we can get some more information on that, because I know we have a work session to work on ours. He said it wouldn't be a huge problem here because we don't have that much, but we don't know what the future holds.
Well, true, and that brings up another interesting point. Does that impact our 2% allowable growth?
I don't know. We'll have to write a lot of questions when we do our work session, but I just thought that was pretty interesting. That was the main thing. But it was well worth learning that.
I would think because it's a voter approved, I don't think that it would fall into that category, but I don't know.
Never know.
Well, apparently, since there's so many counties doing EMS levy on their ballot, it's something that needs to be addressed by the legislature and get corrected, so it's not ambiguous, which apparently it is now.
Yeah.
So. Alrighty. Allow claims and approve reports.
Seriously. Oh, okay.
Readings are real happy with you making that. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
It's a light.
Oh, can you refresh our memory on that Russ 9,500?
That's our annual membership fee. 6 counties. The 6,500, which we won't pay after September. We don't pay it anyways. That's the Board of Health.
Okay.
What's going on with that anyway, lady? Are they advertising or taking applications?
I don't know, Joe.
You've got a board meeting coming up, but they drafted application process to put out. I think we have to approve it at the board meeting to get it sent out. We had a work session a couple weeks ago on wording on that.
When's your next board meeting?
Well, I think it might be some 30th. I don't have a calendar with me. I can text it to you.
I'm just curious.
I think
Where
it
you
is.
going camping at?
I think it's the 30th.
Oh, July.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember.
I don't think it's this week.
Thank you.
She picked more last night.
For how long?
Things are growing this year. like you
On
can't-
Friday, they'll come back the next Saturday.
She got a head of cabbage. It's almost like a
I'll be
basketball.
without you for another week.
Yeah, yeah.
All she had to do is write Caitlin Clark on them. She gets
You
over
didn't tell me you leave on Friday either.
I had a visitation to go to.
Yeah. Oh,
Alrighty, I'll make a motion that we pay $270,065.01.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we will adjourn and then it's, what do you want, 10 minutes or so before we start work session? So motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
On favor?
Downstairs.
Aye.
Hey, wait, go and get me a
Okay,
pop.
we'll start back
Wait a
about
minute. No.
10:10.
Diet Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just need
It's
to turn back
10:10.
on.
Do what?
I said it just needed to turn back on.
Have you had a chance to write up a short little
Oh.
summary? We gotta come up with two things. One is ballot language. And one
did she get
is
a part in this play?
Yeah.
like
She did.
Yeah, she was a.
a one pager.
So what's the name of the play? Oh, when's it gonna?
I can certainly
It was that Friday night, that Friday.
Oh,
This thing.
change this.
Everyone's gamut.
But I took,
Daughter Nan.
Oh, so maybe I would copy that. Is that from a long time ago?
yeah,
Missouri Children's Theater comes here. And on Monday,
basically
they meet
it
the
says-
kids, and on
Is it
Friday
this
night,
one?
they have a play. That fast, it's really cute.
It looks
Yeah.
like Pocahontas County did a resolution that says
Better page.
it's saying resolution to direct the county commissioner of elections to submit the question of adopting a levy and imposing a voter approved emergency medical services, ad valorem property tax, and local option income tax pursuant to Iowa Chapter 422D. So there's a resolution that is floating around there as well.
so what I wrote was, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, upon recommendation by the Jefferson County Ambulance Advisory Council, for the purpose of funding ambulance services in Jefferson County, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicle supplies, and equipment, be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy and impose an ad valorem tax not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County, commencing with the levy of property taxes per collection in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025.
What does ad valorem mean? Do we need that in there? I want simple words.
Right.
I don't want anybody to look at that and go,
Well, it's not
is it
What does
required?
ad
it's not a sales tax,
valorem
it's
mean?
not, an income tax.
As an
Sure.
adverb, it is in proportion to the estimated value of the goods or transaction concerned. If the subsidy may be, oh, I lost it.
It's also an assessed value, not a taxable. That's what the code section says.
Ooh, we should change that.
I don't know if that's what the Iowa code says.
But we don't tax on an assessed value. We tax on a taxable value.
An ad valorem property tax not to exceed 75 cents per $1,000 of assessed value on all taxable property within the county.
Oh, I think it's that.
So we don't tax that way. You have an assessed value, but you're taxed on 46% of that. So that's not a true statement.
It could be one of those deals where that is one of those laws that are needs corrected.
So just let me give you an example. So if you have a $200,000 assessed valuation and I'm taxing you $1 per thousand. Or you have a taxable value of 150,000 because of the $46,000 roll, $54,000 rollback.
So how do we get that clarified so we know for sure? What section is that, Abby?
It's,
That would be the chapter 422D.
Sub
here
one,
it is.
sub two.
Says assessed value. See, where's some of those other examples? I know you've got some, Abby, I've got some.
See right here. County may levy an emergency medical services tax at the rate set by the Board of Supervisors, subject to the limitations under section 422D.1. Paragraph A, subparagraph 2, and approved at the election as provided in section 422D.1 on all taxable property. So why they're saying it's one way, one place, and it says on all taxable property. Let me finish format here. On all taxable property in the county for fiscal years beginning with the property taxes due and payable
Ad valorem name.
in the fiscal year beginning after the fiscal year in which, can you say that?
It says that, it says an ad valorem property tax not to exceed 75 cents per 1,000 of assessed value on all taxable property within the county.
Okay, so assessed value of all taxable property, but this says on all approved elections provided on all taxable property. Yeah, okay. So let me do some math here.
Siri. Luke, what is the definition of ad valorem?
So the way that what this tax will actually amount to $100,000 at 75 cents, right? So you've got 100 times 0.75 is $75 times 46% is $34.50. That's what they'll actually pay, not the $75. So they'll pay, or so if I do it the other way and I take 100,000 times 46%, $46,000. So that would be 46. You got you got 46 1,000s, right? So 46 times 0.75 is 3450. So either way, it comes out the same. We're only going to get $34.50 on every $1,000. Because it's paid on the taxable value, not on the assessed value. So we'll assess it on the assessed value, but they're only going to pay on the taxable value. Because 54% of their assessed value is going to be wiped away. And only going to collect on the taxable value.
Well, and over here's the property tax levy section.
On the what?
Property tax levy, is that what we're talking about? So,
Yeah, but it says
on page
on all
3.
taxable property, so.
Mhm.
So
So,
what I guess I would change that just to simply say. For $1,000 of. I still like the taxable valuation. All that just simply says is it's not saying it's assessed, it's not saying it's not assessed. It's just on the taxable valuation, that portion which is taxed.
and in here it says, uses the term taxable property.
Right.
Yeah, no, I like valuation because I think the simplest. The best. Nobody wants to vote for something they don't understand.
Right. Taxable value is 100,000, that's what you're gonna pay taxes on.
Right. So,
And I didn't actually, I guess it does say here taxable valuation. But. It doesn't, I've got taxable valuation of assessed value.
I think that'll confuse the issue.
I'm just leave it alone, that's the taxable valuation,
Because it confused us until we worked through it.
yeah.
The bottom line is the same, but again, the
Yeah.
simplest, easiest understood.
Is that too much for your ballot? Abby? So is it too much? So. Shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors upon recommendation by, do we need to have that, or do we just need to say? The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. For the purpose of ambulance service. Maybe we don't need to put all the EMS stuff in there and whatnot.
My
This has to be
preference is
written
use the
from
term
ballot,
ambulance instead of
Number-
EMS, but I think we need to
Right.
use them both because one's technical, but one's understandable.
No later, it has to be in the paper no
Again,
later than
it's a matter
September
of
6th.
simplicity.
Okay,
Is this
so
strictly for ambulance,
But my goal
or are you gonna
is
include the volunteer?
to be
the
sending it
first
to the
responder?
papers by
And that's the conversation we need to have.
I
so
think
that
if
it'll
you
appear
throw
August
some money to
29th.
first responder
Yeah.
And if
stuff,
they
it'll
can't get
help.
them
I
for some
agree.
reason,
I
they
think we ought
haven't
to
been
do
work
it
through
for. Oh, what was the term they used at that one meeting? EMS system?
I think you have to be careful there. What did they do with it? They just had the code, what did they do with it? Yes. Taxes for emergency medical services shall only be imposed after an election. The question of imposing the tax provided publication somewhere. Where did that go? Oh,
What are you looking for? Which part? Do you have other word, what's been on other ballots? May I see that, please? Well, this is basically the same thing as this one was.
right here. However, the tax or combination of taxes specified in subsection 1 shall not be imposed on property within or on residents of a benefited emergency medical services district. Question of imposing a tax or combination of taxes may be submitted in regular city election, special election, or general election. Rules of the question shall be provided by publication at least 60 days before the time of election. I don't know what a benefited emergency medical services district is, because I don't have chapter 357F in front of me.
Who is that?
Corey. I see one thing on here I want to change. You've got ambulance services. Do you just want to put ambulance service? Is that a typo?
No, because I've got ambulance service, but not limited to. For the purpose of funding ambulance services.
Shouldn't that be singular?
Well, I don't know. I guess you can in Jefferson County, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel vehicles. So it's two different. It'd be redundant, I guess, for the purpose of, you can say purpose of funding in Jefferson County, ambulance service personnel, vehicle supplies, equipment.
It looks like it's basically the same as these other ones that Abby had examples of.
How many ambulance services do we have in our county?
But what if somebody started one and then said, oh, I want some of your tax money?
How many what?
How many ambulance services do we have in our county?
In the county? Well, see, that's the question. Because if he's talking about first responders and they're volunteer, but you got Libertyville Fire and Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
You've got ambulance service in Lockridge.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the fire department in Batavia.
Mm-hmm.
You got fire department in Packwood. And so my question is, those entities are not taxing. So when it says, however, the tax or combination of taxes shall not be imposed on property within or on residents of a benefited emergency medical services district under chapter 357, which I need to look that up to see what that is, because I don't know. Because it used to be years ago, counties could not call an ambulance service an essential service. It just was recently passed by the legislature because townships could establish their own ambulance service and they could bond for ambulances and so on and so forth. And counties could not bond for ambulances because that fell under the jurisdiction of townships. Now, it does say in here that if we dissolve one, we have to assume their liability. I think we're getting
In the weeds.
too deep in the weeds here, but
Okay, so do we want to add to your list of things here, ambulance service personnel vehicles, training, because I know that was brought up at the EMS advisory meeting, you know, if we wanted to down the road, provide some money for like 10, 20,000 for training
well,
everybody.
but you've got in Jefferson County, including but not limited to. So if we start trying to name everything that we can use it for, the code states what we can use it for. I'm just saying there, this is one of the things we use it for, but it's not limited to that, to
Okay,
just that.
would it be better, and I'm just asking, I'm playing devil's advocate, because as a voter, if I see not limited to on a ballot, I'm gonna think, well, they're gonna try to slide something by
Yeah, but
me.
if you don't put it that way, then you're limited to what you put in that
No, I
question.
know, is there a
And
different
so
way
then
to
all
say
of a
it?
sudden it
So
gets
then
really
it
expensive.
behooves us to make sure we explain that to folks.
Right.
When we're out there.
Let me read what it says here, so we,
Should we just put how it's worded in the code, wherever it is?
and that's what the code says, not limited to.
Oh, okay.
All, it says, an ordinance imposing local income tax or income surtax, but there's still, let's see where, I want to be specific here. That's local income, local district, those revenues received by the county to impose as shall be deposited.
422D.6 sub 3.
Again.
422D.6 sub
Us.
3.
Costs which are eligible. Defibrillators, non-disposable essential ambulance, equipment, communications, pagers, radios, training. Boy, this really spells it out. I like this. It's simple and clear.
Did you have a question on you have ambulances services?
I just think we put ambulance service. Otherwise, people are gonna go, because that's the
It
only
says
one that,
ambulances services.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll confuse people because it's the supervisors, so
Yeah.
it would be the one that we're in charge of. It's not
So
gonna
it,
be
it,
the
it
others.
says, costs which are eligible for emergency medical services, trust fund expenditures include, but are not limited to.
Right,
And I think you have to have that because otherwise, because one of the things it says here, if you notice, unless I haven't seen it yet, doesn't talk about personnel.
yeah,
So if you just list those things,
got it. You're right.
okay,
Mhm.
You want the word county in there in front of ambulance?
you got the EMS, well, I think the supervisors,
How about moving Jefferson County in print? So it's for the purpose of funding the Jefferson County Ambulance Service.
Sounds good.
Just move that. That clarifies it.
so do we want to have all of the stuff in there about recommendation from the EMS Advisory Council? In other words, my question is that we're required to get the recommendation, which we did indeed do. Does it need to be on the ballot language?
It was in those other two, but if it's not required, I'd say take it out just because it simplifies it and people are gonna be tired of reading about it and then less is more.
So do we just want to say, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding ambulance services in Jefferson County,
For the purpose of funding Jefferson County Ambulance Service.
okay, for the purpose of funding Jefferson County ambulance service, including but not limited to, impose property tax levy of 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County.
Are you taking ad valorem out?
Yeah,
Do we need to fly that by any legals?
well, it's basically, it's a value tax, right? Isn't that what you read, Susie?
Yeah.
It's just a value, it's just defines that it's a value tax, which we're saying.
I like it, it simplifies it.
Yeah.
I think anything we can do to simplify it.
Okay, so let's, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding ambulance service in Jefferson County, and then jump down to impose a tax levy not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County.
Yeah, now, should we open it up and, because we don't know what's gonna happen 15 years from now or 10 years, you know, the conversation's been that we're gonna go to one whole EMS system eventually. So do we wanna write it so that it could be used for training throughout the system?
No, I want to go back here.
That's talked about in 422D.6.
Thank you.
Number
Jefferson
D,
County Board of Supervisors, for
3D.
the purpose of funding ambulance services in Jefferson County. Shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding ambulance services in Jefferson County, including but not limited to, for a period of 15 years, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding ambulance services in Jefferson County, including but not limited to, yada, 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 be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents, to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents, $1,000 of taxable value on all taxable property within Jefferson County. Okay, so I'm going to take out, on recommendation of the EMS, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding ambulance service in Jefferson County, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel.
Can we also put in there somewhere EMS system? Because you know, it could be 3 years, it could be 7 years down the road. We need to write it for the future so that we can provide some funding. You know, once this service gets on
But
the
you've
ground,
already covered that by saying not limited to.
I think you're gonna lose some votes if you don't put the EMS system in there. It's just my personal opinion. Based on what I heard at that one meeting,
Well,
What meeting was that?
that advisory when we were all at.
The first one? or the
I say
second one?
this, the hospital needs to pony up. Okay, that's the long and the short of it. We're going out here and we're taxing people to run an ambulance service. We've got, when this gets through, if it gets through, we get nothing from the hospital.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. EMS wants $10,000. That's the figure that was thrown out to me. If the hospital can't pony up $10,000, Or if the city and the county and the hospital together can't pony up $10,000.
Julie's on here, I'm gonna ask her.
I'm just saying that, you know, there needs to be, they're going to take their levy away. They've already determined that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. But the whole purpose of this, I look at it this way. We've got nearly a $1.5 million budget proposed. We're gonna generate roughly $600,000 in revenue. This will generate $750,000. We're still gonna have to pony up
Right,
money out of the budget. I can't be giving away money. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, got it.
I'm not suggesting that EMS isn't a value. It's a tremendous value. And without them, we would be in deep doggy doo-doo as far as that part of it goes. But I'm still saying that we're looking at having to find $150,000 in our budget,
Right,
and every $10,000 counts for something. Now, I'm not suggesting that, I mean, you know, if the city and the county and the hospital together want to pony up $3,300, I don't see that as a problem, but I see that as something that we can take out of our budget, but I don't think it comes out of this.
okay. That's fair. Okay, I wanna ask just do we wanna reverse the order of this and say, impose the tax at the beginning of the statement rather than the end? Or keep it at the
Yeah,
end?
no, I mean, that sounds, so Jefferson County Board of Supervisors,
Impose a tax for the purpose of funding Jefferson County.
yeah, but you want to say it to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County.
I'd say
for
it
the
up front.
purpose of funding ambulance service in Jefferson County, including but not limited to what we have listed there for a period of 15 years. Now, do we need to include in there, Abby, commencing with the levy of property taxes for collection of fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025?
Legally, I have no idea.
Okay. So are you writing this down there, Dee? So,
I'm just putting, shall the Jefferson County
County
Board of Supervisors levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents per thousand.
taxable valuation on all taxable
Hang on.
property
Take this.
within Jefferson County for the purpose of funding ambulance service, Jefferson County including but not limited to ambulance service personnel.
Yeah, in the meeting right now, it was, thank you.
Okay, so Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. And then I'm going to,
That was somebody else.
go down here to
What'd you say?
Oh, I thought that was somebody else. Levy.
be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy, okay. Shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors,
Levy a tax not exceeding.
well, say be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation on all property within Jefferson County for the purpose, and then I come back up Jefferson County, and we'll come back up here where the proof for the purpose of funding ambulance service in Jefferson County, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicles, supplies, and equipment, commencing with the levy of property taxes for collection in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025.
Did you get Jefferson County Ambulance Service in there?
Yeah, I'll read it back.
Okay.
Shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County for the purpose of funding ambulance service in Jefferson County, or do you want the Jefferson County Ambulance Service? For the purpose of funding the Jefferson County Ambulance Service?
I like it better first, but that's just my opinion. I don't have a strong opinion on that.
Okay, so for the purpose of funding Jefferson County Ambulance Service including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicle supplies, equipment. Then drop back down, commencing with the levy of property taxes for collection in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025. So we want the purpose of funding Jefferson County Ambulance Service, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicles, supplies, and equipment, be authorized for a period of 15 years. Because it also says in the code, we can use it for buildings, we can use it, yeah. But that's why, and if at some point we decide that we want, you know, that we can, you know, things are looking where we can provide some money to EMS, it says including but not limited to, so we have that option. But I also think we have the option of looking elsewhere in our budget for that.
Mhm.
I mean, this is not gonna sound right, and I don't mean for it to sound the way it's gonna sound. But I think that the voters need, you know, they're gonna be asked to do this, and they need to know that this funding is going for the ambulance service. We're not gonna go buy a tractor, we're not gonna go buy a surfboard, we're not gonna.
Right.
Okay. And by the same token, if we need to buy equipment or supplies, or if, you know, there's something that maybe we can help EMS with on a piece of equipment, or whatever the case may be, but again, I reiterate, right now, you know, and our revenue is going, we're gonna have peaks and valleys, so, but if we look at our revenue across the board, it's say, round figure 600,000, that's 1,500 calls a year. Receiving $500 a call, regardless of what we charge on average. That's how I get to 600,000. 75 cents. Okay. And we have $1 billion of taxable value. So that's where I came up with the 750,000. So that's 1,350,000. You've got a $1,492,000 budget. I'm just saying that. You know, if we're gonna pay money out to other entities, where does it stop? Number one, number two, we still have to find $150,000.
Right, no, but that's good to work through it because that's the answer.
Now, we may be able
We may be
able to make some changes in our scheduling and so on and so forth. It would help alleviate some of that stress, financial stress. But at this point, you know, everybody has to remember, other than the taxpayers picking up the tab, none of our local governments are putting any money towards this after the hospital shuts down their levy.
All right.
Which I mean, that's not a surprise. I mean, that was discussed, and we know that that's going to happen at some point in the future.
So Abby, do we need to vote on this wording at a meeting sometime?
I would assume so, yes.
I
was telling you about this resolution that other counties did, and I think you may want to do something like that so that we have something in writing. Other than just a motion at a meeting that that's what you're wanting.
Got it, yes. I agree with you.
So I'll type this up.
But we need to do something like this. So it's in a resolution form, so do you want to work on that?
I'll just type it up and then she can send it over to the attorney to.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna type up is, shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding Jefferson County Ambulance Service, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicles, supplies, and equipment, be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents per $1,000 of taxable valuation, excuse me, on all taxable property within Jefferson County, commencing with the levy of property taxes for collection in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025.
Can we change the word commence to starting with? I like simple words.
Or beginning.
Beginning, I like that better.
I put commencing because that was what was
No, I
in the
know.
code.
This,
Shall the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, for the purpose of funding Jefferson County Ambulance Service, including but not limited to ambulance service personnel, vehicles, supplies, and equipment, be authorized for a period of 15 years to levy a tax not exceeding 75 cents for $1,000 of taxable valuation on all taxable property within Jefferson County, beginning with the levy of property taxes for collection in the fiscal year beginning, well,
oh, you already have beginning.
valuation on all taxable property in Jefferson County. With, let's just go with the levy of property taxes for collection in the fiscal year beginning July 1st.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, I'll type that up.
Now, what about a one pager for education purposes? Or do you want to do that another time?
Well, it's trying to keep it as simple as possible. The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Let me see. The,
We'll reduce our supplemental.
yeah, well, hang on a second, I'm trying to formulate here. The ambulance service levy request will not raise your property taxes. The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors will reduce your property tax by a minimum of $1 and other levies.
Start over.
Okay, so that the you know, to the public, or however you want to put it, but that the levy request for the Jefferson County Ambulance Service of 75 cents will be offset by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors reducing your property taxes by $1 and other levies. Period. Don't have to go into which levies we can reduce it. We don't have to talk about it.
We need to know that for people that want to know, but
sure.
Just
well,
not for that.
Okay, so if you want to write down, you're going to lose 27 cents because the hospital will eliminate their levy.
Yeah.
Okay, we take 30. What's that say? Oh, did I already write that down?
Yeah.
you have it written somewhere.
Okay.
It's got my pages all mixed up.
Yeah,
I think you were saying it won't increase, and maybe you should say, but in fact,
Oh,
it
yeah.
will decrease.
right. So I'm saying that the 27-cent levy would be eliminated from the hospital.
Here we go.
48-cent reduction in general supplemental at least, if not more, which we don't need to go into all that detail.
Right.
And 32-cent reduction in general basic levy.
Mhm.
So basically, the 75-cent EMS levy will be offset by a total of levy reduction of $1.07.
Oh.
Now, I don't know whether or not we can, I talked to Shannon and 48 cents, she said we could do. So that's why I put that in there. So if we just simply say that
You know what? Sorry, go
Hmm?
ahead, go ahead.
Oh.
Well, I was doing the math, and if we just simply don't even include the 32 cents reduction, it comes out to 75 cents, so it's equal.
right,
Is that simpler? Just because I anticipate, remember, we had some funds left over in that ambulance fund this
Right.
year. So hopefully next year we can reduce the budget for them. So it may be
well,
even.
we're going to
more
be
than this.
required by code to reduce 32 cents on general basic. Irregardless, we don't have any choice. So
True.
that's,
Oh, you're just including that.
Right.
Got it. Okay,
okay.
that's fine.
So my point is that helps offset the cost. So between the hospital reducing their levy 27 cents, 32 cents, there's 59 cents.
Yep.
And then we talked to Shannon about cutting back the 95 by 48 cents.
Mhm.
And so all I'm simply saying is that the 75-cent EMS levy would be offset by a total levy reduction of $1.07.
Mhm.
So you actually will see a 32-cent overall, a 32-cent reduction in your property tax.
Bottom line.
Bottom line, there will be no, the 75-cent ambulance service levy will not impose a property tax increase on the residents of Jefferson County because it will be offset by a total levy reduction of $1.07 in other funds,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or from other funds.
Yeah.
right.
And then
It's
I
getting
will
there.
go,
But how are we gonna get the, I like that.
I'm
How are you
gonna go-
gonna get the word
I'll
out?
go to Farm Bureau to start with and have a conversation with the board.
Okay, that's one thing.
Right,
Get Andy Hallman to write
right.
something like
He'll do
that.
that. I talked to him about it last week because he
Yeah.
called me about something else.
I would get you a stool,
Okay.
that you can sit up on a
Yeah.
square and talk about that.
What I probably will try and do is reach out to KTVO and see if they'll do a story.
I also think we need to go to like Kiwanis and all those places,
Yeah,
divide and conquer.
sure.
So I guess whoever has contacts with any of those groups.
And I think we stand in front of the city council
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they, theirs is live and up close and personal, whatever,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they have,
and they have a different audience.
yeah.
At each one of the outlines, city.
Go to,
councils.
Yeah.
go to, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I'd say probably mid-September to mid-October.
So I mean, that's, generally it's just simple and straightforward. The 75-cent levy will be offset by a total levy reduction from other funds of $1.07.
Abby, does anybody in your office creative enough to
I think we need to have a
do
white
the
sheet that says
graphics
all
and all
that.
that? Do you
And
guys do that?
whenever we go somewhere to a meeting, whatever. Just say
Those
it.
skills you don't get to use very often, but they're valuable ones, right?
Yeah.
What,
So we can make a flyer.
Speaking of flyer, I took a flyer off the port,
what?
Thanks, Abby.
I suggested to Abby that we get a bungee cord.
I
Fix part of it to the top of your
You know
trailer.
what mine,
And the
Are we
other
done
part of it,
now?
unfortunately, I see these people that jump off these 500-feet bridges. Okay,
we're just talking 3 feet.
my
okay?
bungee cord would be 510 feet.
Can I ask-
Okay, that's just the way my luck runs.
Okay, if we're done being
Okay.
productive, shall
I
we
will-
adjourn?
This
Yeah, I
is
will
production.
type this up.
Getting
Because I
along
gotta
with each
figure
other.
out how to get on a Microsoft Teams link. Can you help me with that?
Yeah.
I'm really
Use
struggling.
Teams.
I'm struggling with that.
Can you help me with some stuff?
Okay.
I'm struggling.
We're gonna adjourn
Sure.
this
So
second. All in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
oh yeah.